Growing up not too far from Emory and Henry campus in the town of Lebanon, Virginia, Ben Thompson is well versed in the history of Coach Bob Johnson and the men's basketball team. During his first season in 2019, Coach Thompson guided the Wasps to a conference tournament berth while setting records for most wins as a first-year coach in the program's history. Now in his 5th season, Coach Thompson joining us is here to talk about the changes over the past 2 years and what the future is looking like for the program. Coach Thompson, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So speaking of wins and losses, this season and the team overall is 15-16 and 2-11 in the conference. So with 1 month left of the season, what is your focus?
Yeah, so we're 5-16, which is
sorry.
unfortunate, right? You know, we started the season off with a lot of promise. We were receiving votes for top 25, and you know, we've had some injuries and lost a lot of really close games, and so it's been a tough year. But thankfully, the guys haven't quit, and they've grinded and fought tooth and nail the whole way. And so, as we set out, this is the 3rd year of Division II, so we're not eligible for the NCAA tournament.
Right.
But the goal at the beginning of the year was to make the conference tournament. So that goal is still within reach. You know, we're going to have to finish strong, but so that's going to be our goal toward as we kind of finish the season. But was the same goal at the beginning of the year. So that's still in reach, and hopefully we can do that.
So, like you said, how much do you allow yourself to look back at the season where you're at right now?
A lot. Yeah. You know, there's, I'm not going to say sleepless nights, but there's definitely in bed at night, you know, thinking about this or that, waking up each morning. And, you know, my wife likes to grill me when I get home too. So, yeah, so as a head coach, you relive a lot of those moments, good and bad. And, you know, unfortunately, the ball hadn't bounced their way on a lot of close games this year. And hopefully that'll change moving forward.
So one of the bright spots of this season was the win at UVA Wise. Can you talk about what that meant? Because it's definitely a tough place to play.
Yeah, it's rowdy.
Yeah.
You know, and I've told people I'd rather win ugly than lose pretty. And so it was an ugly win. It was almost kind of a mirror opposite of the game here. Like here, we were up 7 with like 4 minutes to go, and they came back and won the game.
Right.
And at their place, we were down 7 with 3 minutes to go and came back and won. And so they were kind of mirrored opposites. But yeah, I mean, it's a rivalry game, and you know, there's a lot of heckling going on and a lot of rowdiness, as you can imagine. And so, yeah, it's always nice to beat those guys.
Was that like the highlight of the season, or can you pinpoint another one of those season moments?
I don't know if it was the highlight. I mean, you know, earlier in the year we had the chance to go play in the Spectrum Center where the Charlotte Hornets play, and got a big win there. And so that was neat. You know, had a lot of alums down in Charlotte, and you know, they joined us after the game for kind of a post-game social and meal. And, you know, so that was kind of neat. So I would say probably the Spectrum Center was probably more of the highlight. I know a lot of the fans are probably going to talk more about UVA Wise on both ends of the rivalry. But I think for our guys, that was a big thing for them, and that was an enjoyable trip.
So just one last thing about the Southwest Virginia Bowl. Do wins help you with recruiting from like our backyard?
Yeah, I think so. You know, I think, you know, there is some talent in the area. You know, but I think it goes beyond just Southwest Virginia. You know, I think it reaches out further into the Commonwealth. And so beyond the wins in the region, you know, against, you know, like a UVA Wise, you know, I think it means even more to beat them for recruits that are even further away. Just because a lot of the guys in this area end up playing football more so than basketball. And so I think it helps. But throughout the state, you know, there's only 4 D2s. There's us and Wise, and then there's Virginia Union and Virginia State. And so anytime that you can win a game against one of those in-state schools, I think it bodes well for your in-state recruiting.
So how has recruiting been since becoming D2?
You know, it was challenging in Division III because we were the furthermost Division III school in the league, in the ODAC. It's challenging now because it's different. So our league is what you would call high major Division II. And it's really pretty similar to like the Big South of Division I. So in years past, we were recruiting against the ODAC, which was challenging in itself. But now, we're recruiting against ETSU and Radford, JMU, Longwood, kind of some of those schools. So, excuse me, in some ways it's easier because we can offer scholarships, excuse me. But in some ways it's harder because you got to get a lot more talented guys, and you're competing mainly. We've competed more against Division I schools than we have against Division II schools for guys. And so that takes on a challenge of its own, which is unique than what we've had in the past.
So I want to ask about Jacob Darr. Over the past month, it seems like he's a different player. His scoring has drastically increased. Could you talk about what changed?
Yeah, I think for him, I think he's starting to figure out who he is, and he's starting to get a lot of confidence, and playing. In our system, there's a lot of freedom, and so I think he's trying to find that balance of where there's freedom and where there needs to be, kind of some other limitations. And so I think for him, a lot of it has become a confidence thing, and he's just kind of leaning into that. Yeah.
So finally, I want to ask about your dad, Rick.
Yeah.
I just found that out. He's one of our assistant coaches and has been by your side for a while now. But I'm wondering, have you ever took a time to think about how special that is to have your dad with you?
Yeah, you're gonna try to make me cry. No, so Dad was a high school coach for a long time. Coached at Lebanon, Honeacre, Pocahontas, and St. Paul, where I played for him. But he won the state championship in 1991 at Lebanon, and so we have pictures. Hopefully, you all don't have them, but we have pictures of him holding me when he received the state championship trophy, and I'm holding up number 1 and all this stuff. And as are most small towns in this area, high school sports is a big deal. And so when we got back to Lebanon that night, they stopped traffic. I mean, it was like 2 a.m. And Dad got up on the bus, the hood of the school buses, because back then you didn't have the flat buses like you do now. You had an actual hood, because I'm old. And so I got up on the top of the bus, and as he addressed the whole town, I was with him. And so when I was a kid, he had an opportunity to go coach at Auburn University, where Charles Barkley played and Chuck Person. And he turned it down because he wanted to spend more time with family. And so now it's kind of neat that we get that opportunity to coach together, and it's been great. He was with me when we went to Brazil for the U.S. national team, for the D3 national team, and he's been with me the whole time, so it's been special.
That's great. So thank you so much for joining us, and
you.
I'm going to wish you luck as you go to Lincoln Memorial tomorrow.
Yep.
So for your EHC-TV news, I'm Hope Shockley.